let's cross over to the home of Kwabena Agyapong. His father is one of the slain judges. Sir, thank you very much for your time this evening. Mr. Agyapong, if you can hear me, thank you very much for your time this evening here. We're on special assignment. I believe that you watched this documentary from A to Z. Can you hear me, sir?
It's a very difficult documentary for me to sit through, and because it brings back a lot of very difficult memories and the flood of memories. So it's something that through the grace of the Almighty God, myself and our families have been able to get through, and it's not an easy thing to go through this again.
I just want to find out from you that before we published this, there were a couple of people who said this documentary would actually bring closure to a couple of people, including yourself, people who were directly affected. I mean, you were very young then when it happened. The talk of the emotional trauma this must have caused you. You've lived through it. You are a politician. Indeed, you live in the same political dispensation. Now, I'm wondering, does this give you closure?
No. I mean, let's be clear. I think we may never get to the bottom of the matter, but I'm pretty sure I've said it before. Some of these things, those who did it, I'm sure they know it, and quite clear. If you listen to what the perpetrators themselves said, they didn't have any links to the victims. These were very young.
Mr. Agyapong, I need to let my viewers and our listeners hear you properly. We're not getting that at the moment. Let's fix this and get back to you. Sincere apologies there. But we'll get back to Mr. Agyapong to that was actually a very crucial point for me. I wanted to find out whether or not this gives him closure, and he was just going about it. He says that it looks like we'll never get to the bottom of it, which is what Kojo seems to be the theme. The theme that runs through from beginning to end. It looks like you never get to the bottom of this, especially when most of the actors have died.
I don't know if it's fair to say we'll never get to the bottom of it. I think perhaps we still haven't got a definitive conclusion to the matter. But so much in only this documentary has been revealed, so much has been added to the narrative, so that we are at a point where people can draw certain conclusions.
Okay.
Now, those conclusions might be colored by people's politics, people's own, prejudices, but there is more information. There is more information thanks to this documentary. And so, if we never get a court trial of Captain Chikata or a court trial of any of those names that were mentioned and implicated by those who were found guilty, then we will have to rely on the information, the raw data that this documentary has revealed. And there is enough there for people to draw a conclusion if they wish.
Okay. We'll also have a Brigadier General Nunu Mensah, who's the former Chief of Defense Staff, on the line, as we try to fix Mr. Kwabena Agyapong's line to get better sound. Let's engage you, sir. Sir, thank you very much for your time this evening here. This is special assignment on Joy News. General Nunu Mensah, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Very well.
Asking, yes, please ask your question. I'm listening.
Okay. You watched the documentary, did you?
I did watch most of it, yes.
What do you think?
Well, what I thought about it, this is 1982. That was 6 years ago. 36 years ago. Nothing has changed. We're trying to get to the truth, but the truth is very far from us. As the time goes on, becoming farther and farther away from us. I was an actor and as a member of the PN, the Chief of Defense Staff. I thought I knew what happened. Many people thought they knew what happened. But the actual truth, there are many truths. My truth, President Rawlings' truth, so many truths, Kwabena Agyapong's truth. But the real truth as to what happened, we may never live to see, to know it. And as Archbishop Zepam Abakar said, with the murder of President Kennedy, Americans are never near the truth. And this is a similar situation in which we find ourselves. I mean, we know, but anybody who says that the PNDC were behind this, I mean, I was a member of PNDC, so never something that the PNDC as a body did. A few individuals, did say the whole thing.
But a few individuals? Who are these individuals?
What you heard it? I mean, you heard Amatekwe, you heard Amatepe, you heard.
We had various versions of the story. Yes. So which of the version do you believe fits into what constitutes the truth for you, as far as the members who were involved?
None of the versions came close to my truth. I give evidence before the Special Investigation Board, the Azukra Committee. I don't know why my evidence was not played.
Okay, what's your truth? I mean, what's your version of the truth? You said that all of these things that you heard in the documentary doesn't come close to your truth. What's your truth?
Well, my truth will not matter to you because I said that.
It does matter, sir, in the conversation.
There's a jumble of all kinds of things. As to whether President Rawlings, at that time chairman of the PNDC, knew. I mean, I, for example, believe that he could have known about the arrest of these people. But the actual murder, I don't believe that he was a party to it. He knew about it. And this is based on my own evidence that I saw on that morning following the murder of the judges, when the bodies were found. So what I got to know, talking to him and watching his mood, I believe that the murder took him by surprise. So anybody who said that he knew about the murder, I would vehemently oppose that.
So if I get you right,
known about the arrest of the people.
The arrest, murder, you mean the abduction? Sir, do you mean the abduction of the judges?
Yes.
Okay, so if I get you correct, you mean that former President Rawlings may have known about the abduction, but not that they were killed?
There were two events, the arrest of these people, then the murder. There were two different situations. Now I'm saying that, I even doubt, but it was possible that he may have heard or known about the arrest. But the actual murder of these people was another different
thing. Let me correct this, or help me if I am wrong. You keep saying arrest. Were they arrested or were they abducted? Because the story we know is that they were abducted.
When they go and pick somebody from his house, they abduction. You won't arrest him. If you came to pick him from my house,
did they go with an arrest warrant?
But I'm saying that from my own understanding.
Okay.
And I've been in this business of intelligence and counterintelligence almost all my life. And what I could deduce at that time and now, if I then deny that even he knew about President Rawlings knew about the arrest, was following the morning of the then not even a murder. I went to find the arrest. I heard that they've been abducted, or let's use the word abducted. I went to go about to find out whether what I knew, he also knew. And I met him, that morning. And I went to him. When I asked about the abduction of these people, he was utter shock. They're talking to him.
So that's what makes you believe that he did not know about the killing of the judges.
No, it is when you are interrogating somebody or when you confront them with facts, the way the person reacts to it, you can surmise that from his mood. It's what a terrible thing to happen. What a stupid thing to do. Something like that. And that if he knew about it, would have made those expressions to me.
Okay. Right.
So this is what I would summarize from his mood. And subsequently, when you confess that they were murdered, I mean the shock of it, talking to me, is what I conclude that if anyone told me that he knew about the murder, I would vehemently say no, he didn't know about it.
Okay, Kojo, you have some questions?
Yes, General. I wonder, in this documentary, you heard Captain Chikata vehemently deny his role. Did you believe him?
I cannot defend him as I'm defending President then Chairman Rawlings.
Why not?
I cannot defend him.
Okay.
I cannot vouch, I cannot say that. I can vouch.
You can vouch for former President Rawlings, but you cannot vouch for. So at the end of the documentary, he says something, Kojoji Carter says something about people who have tried to frame him, about people who were not happy with him, people who wanted to get him out of government, people who wanted to discredit him. He puts out a couple of names: Justice Azukrab, Lindsay, Reverend Jobo, Mr. Quist, who is dead, Mr. Amwe, and he mentions you as well.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that I appeared before the SIB board. I'm surprised that I gave an interview. They interviewed me and I spoke to them. I made certain statements. You know, I don't know whether you could have a report of this and then read what I said to the board. You know, that is something that, you know, you didn't have it. I don't know whether you ever had it but it wasn't shown in this documentary. You know, I on that day, following the murder of the judges, I went to Gonda Barracks, and then I saw Amatekwe walk into a room. So I followed him. And when I followed to the room there, I saw it was his office at that time, and I confronted Amatekwe. You see, when I got to Major Akwa was involved in those who were abducted. Major Akwa left the army since 1966, but he was also the head of personnel at DHOC, and I was the chairman of DHOC at that time, the Champion regime. So I knew about his involvement with the commissioner, parliamentarians, Major Akwa, having dealt with him as that of personnel. So you have some grudge against Major Akwa.
Okay.
This was my own estimate. So when I saw him at Captain Tukata's office, I looked at his face and I said to him, Mr. Amateko, where's Major Akwa? Looked at my face and never said a word.
At that time, Major Akwa had already been abducted.
No, they have abducted, yes. Yes, I was actually told by a cousin of ours. I was related to him. We grew up in the same house in Winnipeg. So I knew him long before I came to the army. So I knew him, a family member.
And this meeting, you say you were there with Captain Kojoji Carter and Amatekwe?
No. I want to go there back to talk to President then Chairman Rawlings at the time. But as I was standing with him, and I left Chairman Rawlings, I saw Amatekwe walk into a room. So I followed him. In fact, then I had been told that Major Akwa had also been abducted by Major Kelson, another cousin. He's all deceased now. So when Major Kelson came to tell me that Major Akwa had been abducted, my mind went to Amatekwe. Because I said, look, I was chairman of DHOC at the time, and Major Akwa then was director of personnel. And Amatekwe had been involved in some action at parliamentary, and they had been dismissed by Major Akwa. So I knew we would have a grudge against him.
Okay.
So I, my own intelligence work, knew that if Major Akwa had abducted, he would know something about it. So when I saw him walk into a room, I followed him a few meters away, into the room. That room happened to be Captain Carter's office. He was standing in front of him. So I called his name and said to him, Amatekwe, where is Major Akwa?
Okay. Hold on for me, Mr. Nunimensa. Let me go over to Kojoji Agyapong, Agyapong's home and get his thoughts. Sir, thank you very much for your patience with our lines there. You were making a point before we lost you. Do you want to continue?
I was just trying to say it's been 36 long years, and we want to thank the Almighty God for bringing us this far, getting through this very difficult period. And there have been quite a lot of gaps in what I've seen. Maybe we may never get to the bottom of the truth. Perhaps the one who conducted the documentary would have done us a lot of favor by talking to the two gentlemen you just mentioned, and also had their comments, because I see that they are not part of this documentary.
Who are these two gentlemen?
We may never get back to the bottom of the truth, but of course, I mean, then Chairman Rawlings and Captain Chikata.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it appears that they were not part of this documentary, and I would have wished to hear what they would say about this 36 years on, and maybe would have given us a whole new dimension to it.
Okay, what they say.
during the National Reconciliation Commission.
Okay, hold on, Coach. I'll have you come in. But what they say, Mr. Agyapong, what they say, what Kojo Chikata says, and what former President Rawlings says at the NRC, you listened. Do you believe them?
No, but we've heard that before. I mean, I was at the NRC too myself, and so I put up, of course, what I knew and what I saw, and I believe that if you were doing a new documentary, then it would have been fair for you to speak to former President Rawlings and then Captain Chikata as well. And you know, I think that without that, I don't see this as complete. Yeah.
Kojo, you have some questions for
yes,
him.
Mr. Agyapong, obviously you've had to grow up your entire life with this cloud hanging over the head of your family, this uncertainty about what happened, what really happened and who was behind it. But what has been your belief? Obviously, as family, you would have picked up bits of information over the years. What has been your belief to date about whether or not Captain Chikata, former President Rawlings, and others in the PNDC directly ordered the abduction and killing of your father and others?
I think my views on these matters have been well documented over several years. I mean, as far back as the 90s, I held several press conferences. And so my views on these matters are not new. And I think that, as I said, 36 years on, I don't want somebody to say Kwabena Agyapong's truth or somebody's truth. The fact of the matter is we all knew what happened. And I believe that at the end of the day, a lot of people like me believe that those who really carried out the act were not the ones, they were ordered to do it. So the order could have come from a few people, and we all know those people. So I think at the end of the day, we may not ever be able to get to the bottom of the matter, but as a country, I think we've moved on.
Okay.
We just have to move on.
We just have to move on.
The suffering that we have been through and the things that we have gone through as families is very difficult. So I think everybody should respect the privacy of those of us who suffered through this. I thank the station because sometimes it's important for Ghanaians to know what has happened in the past and the history of this, you know, of our country, and document it properly so that we can all learn lessons from that. At the end of the day, I'm a very divine person, and I believe in the ultimate power of the Almighty, and the Almighty knows what happened. If you looked at the SIB report, it reached a certain conclusion. Certain decisions were taken. The issue about what Amatekwe said before he was shot and all that. So I think it's a good lesson for Ghanaians, younger ones who don't know what has happened in this country, perhaps to know. But more importantly, for us to learn lessons and not to treat ourselves in that manner again. I mean, the struggles that we went through as a country through the 70s, the 80s, and that's why we should not take our democratic dispensation for granted at all. And that people sacrifice their lives, people sacrifice their businesses. I mean, just look at the policeman who, just for doing his work, has had to live in exile. Jacob Yidana died not too long ago. All the police investigative team were hounded out, and most of them died in misery. So it's a difficult part of our history, and perhaps the fact that some people have tried to cover this up, it's a matter for us to leave in the hands of the Almighty. Vengeance, they say, is God's. I have lived with it. There's no bitterness in me at all towards those who I believe superintended this very heinous crime. So, but as a country, I think that we can continue to treat ourselves better, and to know that put the national interest first. For me, that's what matters. I mean, my father and his colleagues have been honored by the Bar Association and the judiciary. Their bust is sitting there as a symbol that there are people who sacrifice with their lives, and all of us, have to sacrifice for our country. I think there's no point really finding out, really, even if you find out who did it. So what? I mean, at the end of the day, it's been 36 years as a country. Let's heal our country. Let's work together as one people and care for our citizens. And that's very important, because I take myself and the pain that I've been through even over the last 2-3 years, the treatment that I've gone through from my own party. And sometimes you go back and compare that to what I went through as a kid, and you begin to look at things that can happen in this country. People, for some reason, can gang up, say things, untruth, propaganda, lie about you, attempt to destroy you. And so these things have happened. So let's move on as a people. Again, I do believe that everyone has a conscience. Everyone has a conscience.
Mr. Agyapong, I'd like to barge in a little.
That
I'd like to barge in a little.
Yes.
And just to find out, you just said something about the treatment that you had from your party. Help me understand how you put that together. What the sort of treatment you say you had from your party, and what happened.
I think you know that.
And what happened to
that.
No, I'm just trying to find out how it relates.
You know what happened.
I'm trying to find out how it relates. No, hold on for me, sir. I'm trying to find out how it relates to what happened to your father, because that's what we were talking about earlier.
Well, what happened to my father is part of our political history. And you said I'm a politician, don't you say that? And that's a fact. And I'm just, when I superimpose this, what has happened to what I've been through in the past, and the pain that I had to suffer for being part of this tradition, and I look at all this, you begin to wonder how this world can be. But at the end of the day, as I said, if you believe in the Almighty God, and you believe that vengeance is God, you have to let go. I mean,
okay. So I would like to take your very final comment.
That was a very traumatic part of our history, and as Ghanaians, let's move on as a people. It's been 36 long years. The family is very appreciative, especially of the Ghana Bar Association and the judiciary, for honoring the memory of my father and his colleagues who died working for Ghana and working for the interest of justice in our country. And some tried to destroy them, but at the end of the day, their memory lives on. And I think that as politicians and as a people, all of us have to learn lessons from this and treat ourselves better.
Okay. I was going to bring in General Numensa for his final comments, and then I come to you for your final comment. And General Numensa, do I still have you there?
Hello.
Right. You've heard all that.
No, I didn't hear this. I mean, I couldn't hear this.
Oh, you didn't hear him? Well, basically what he's saying is that at this point, we as a nation, we should be able to move on. It's been 36 years. He believes that we should move on, but we should draw certain lessons from what has happened regarding how we treat people, regarding the sort of politics that we do around here. Do you share in that thoughts of let's move on? It's been 36 years.
Okay, the line is pretty bad, but I know Kwabena Agyapong very well. You know, I know him extremely. He knows him very well. But I agree with him that 36 years on, you know, we will never get to the bottom of this matter. The whole truth, we will never. Like many of these murders, you know, and whatnot, you will know something about, almost close to the truth, the whole truth. But the actual truth, you will never. I think if you know, it's happened, and we have to learn lessons from them. But to go on and on and on, where will it take us? You know.
What are the lessons you think we should learn from? What are the key lessons you think politicians, especially, or people in the security forces,
the line is pretty bad.
You said we should move on. I mean, just like Mr. Agyapong is saying, let's learn lessons. What sort of lessons should we learn from this?
Oh, lessons. I mean, what lessons? I mean, the whole act was terrible. I mean, you know, I resigned from the PNDC a couple of months following the murder of the judge. And one of the reasons why I resigned was the murder of the judges, the abduction and murder. Never in my character. We were a democracy. Or even if we were not a democracy, even if we were not at that time, to abduct people and take their lives without proper trial, proper course of the law. Okay. I mean, it's something that I would never endorse, you know. Okay. And that was the reason why I resigned from the PNDC at the time and left the country and went to prison for quite some time. So I mean, I condemn. It's a terrible act, you know, and I think we learn not to do such a thing again in our political history. It was terrible.
Okay.
But like Kwabena said, you know, you will never get to the whole bottom of this. You will never get it because, I mean, there are things that many people knew and they wouldn't speak for fear that something would happen. So even now, I know some people who knew something, but they will never say it. But if you read the SIB report, I mean, I appeared before them. I gave an interview to them. I said the whole truth. But if you read that report and following from what I said, you know, you guess the whole, some truth, but not the whole truth. That's what I'm trying to make.
Okay.
You know, so
Okay.
let the matter rest and let us move on.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Nunu Mensah, thank you so much for your time. Brigadier
Thank you, and
General
God bless you.
Nunu
Thank you.
Mensah
Thank
is
you.
the former Chief of Defense
Thank
Staff. Kojo, do you have any final words for Mr. Agyapong before we let him go?
Yeah, Mr. Agyapong, once again, obviously this must have touched some raw nerves going over some of this history. And you've talked about how you're willing to let it all go. But you are one of 10 children. Do all your siblings feel the same way? Are all 10 of them willing to just let it go without any definitive answers to the questions of who killed your father?
I think we've let it go already. I mean, many years ago, as I said, if we hadn't let this go, it would have destroyed us. And so we've let go. As I said, we are very divine people. We believed in the grace of the Almighty God to carry us through the difficult times are not now. It was when we were kids, you know, 20, 21, going through university without your father and going through the trauma at the time. Now we are matured, we've lived with it, and we thank God for bringing us this far. And so there's nothing that we are holding on to, and we will never hate anybody for this. I pray for God's guidance and forgiveness for those who committed this crime. I'm sure it will be living on their conscience, and I'm sure they know themselves. I mean, quite clearly from the report, the SIB report, and at the time, maybe some of you were very young, it was difficult even to get hold of that SIB report. And if I tell you who gave me one copy, which I still keep, you'll be surprised.
Who gave you?
May he rest in perfect peace. But a lot of people got destroyed by this whole crime. And I think as a country, we should learn from it. As a people, we should love one another. We may have political differences, we may disagree with people, but we should treat ourselves better and place the national interest paramount. Let's make it what binds us together. I think the things that hold us together as a people are far more than the things that divide us. So those who seek to divide our country with political expediency should stop. And the majority of us who believe in our nation and working together have to learn lessons from the hurt and how the Almighty God has been able to use some of us to be able to forget the past and move on and be happy and not be bitter. Because there can be life once you believe in the Almighty and the forgiveness of sins. And so let's continue to pray to God to hold our peace together and even to bless those who did this. You know, when you commit a crime, you don't know you commit a crime. We need God's forgiveness for all of them. And let's work together. I think that after 36, 37 years, we may never find it, but I know that those who know it, know it. Let's all carry on and enjoy our country, Ghana.
Let you go. General Nunu Mensah has talked about learning lessons. Do you think our country has moved on from that time in terms of improvement? Do you think such a thing could never happen in today's Ghana?
Well, I mean, recently, we saw what happened when the mob violence, people getting killed, the sad loss of a military officer, and I'm saying that the potential is there. And we have to learn serious lessons, and perhaps you, the media, can help. The strident political rivalry that we persecute or we prosecute all the time, and not bringing the national interest to the fore. And I think the media has a big role to play, and to get people of like minds, a critical mass of people who are true patriots, who are prepared to put the nation above partisan interest. Those are the kind of people who can lead this country and heal our country. So there are still difficulties. And I look at the abrasiveness of our politics and the framing up of people, the propaganda, and now with social media, people can just plot lies about people that do not exist and carry it on and try and destroy people. And these things are fun, and I've been a victim of such a thing, you know. So I said that we should learn from these things and be each other's keeper. This country is too beautiful to destroy, and there's enough space in this country for all of us, and you don't have to be at the top of the political pile. Everybody can make a contribution to the country in your small area. You don't have to be at the top of the political pile. You understand me? So it appears sometimes the aggression in our politics to be the alpha male or to take control of our system sometimes drives us to maltreat our fellow Ghanaians. And I think that we should look at the pain and the trouble we've been through the over 60 years of our independence, and by now we should be sharpening the way we do things and do things better for ourselves.
That's a point well made.
Mr. Agyapong, thank you so much for allowing us into your home, and indeed allowing all of Ghanaians who are watching you at the moment into your home as well, into your family, bringing you, well, some way, somehow making you relive a part of your childhood. Thank you so much for your time. Kwabena Agyapong there, he's a son of one of the judges who was